standards. They have to meet the same standards as federal safe drinking water. Otherwise, they would not have funds.
Senator Schiavone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief because I want the scientists to be able to testify before everybody has to go for dinner or something. So, but I want to. This is a question. I just want to talk about recycling a little bit. I mean, when I was little, I was taught that recycling was beneficial to the environment because you use less resources and you have less waste. So, I think that, or I'm asking, does this same mind thought exist in the oil and gas industry? So, wouldn't it be beneficial to use less water in the first place and then inject less water in the second, afterwards? So before and after the process, would this be beneficial? Is this existing? Is this something we're looking at?
Mr. Chairman, the shale industry, based upon their history in Pennsylvania, has quickly moved to near close to 100% recycling of frac fluids. That's economically efficient and it reduces stress on water acquisition needs. So that is happening.
Is it happening sometimes? Is it happening a little bit? Is it happening a lot?
They're compelled to do it because of water acquisition issues. It makes sense. It takes large operations to do it, but acquiring water resources for this type of process is expensive. So one, they're compelled to do it for economic reasons, and two, they're compelled to do it for social reasons. And they're close to 100% recycling now on frac.
And I believe I heard you say that the more dense the water is, the easier it is to go down.
Wait.
So would that disincentivize you to recycle it?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, I think you're confusing two different processes. What Mr. Hill was referring to is that when you're injecting into a UIC facility, based upon the concentration of salt in the water, that adds weight. The more weight, the more hydrostatic pressure on the reservoir, the less pressure you will see at the surface.
And the less energy you would have to use to push it.
That's for class 2 injection. For hydraulic fracturing operations, you need clean water. In order to do a hydraulic fracturing operation, you may damage the formation. So they're not going to use an oil field brine to go back and do a fraction. They wouldn't do that.
Well, could we get some numbers for folks and for legislators about the recycling of the water and what percentage of the time that's used?
And Mr. Chairman, this whole issue of PODWs, the technology is clearly coming close where you can refine this water to the point where it exceeds drinking water standards. And that's something we need to look at. The political issues today say that it's difficult, and that's been the decision of this administration.
Is that better?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your testimony, and also kind of going through the myth and the facts, which I'm very interested in, and we'll be fact-checking your facts. And
Please do.
Trying to figure out where the confusion is, because I quite frankly don't want to portray that something that's really not that. So this is a very difficult issue. We're not experts on permitting, we're not experts on your industry, so I really appreciate that and working with you on that. If we go over this whole issue again, that hydraulic fracturing is a proven method successfully done and applied in millions of gas wells for over 60 years. But would you agree that this type of fracturing that we're doing now has been relatively new in the last 10 years as far or as it's related to high volume slip water? And so this is technology, it's great. We want those advancements, but don't you think we need to be mindful about the regulations that may be adopted as a result of the trial and error type of issues we're dealing with today? You did admit that it was reasonable to scale back according to what had happened in your testimony. I will refer to page 5. Like we only Columbia County, there's been a series of localized seismic activity after reasonable analysis. That after reasonable analysis has generated concern that it may be related to a recently installed UIC Class 2 well. As we're finding these things out, are you going to be very cooperative in taking a look at reports that are coming out of the US EPA in 2012, completed report in 2014? Every state does have its own geological makeup, water tables. So we really need for you to help us. Are you going to be very, very responsive in making recommendations as we move forward and find out the scientific facts? And I'm hoping that we can get you all the chemicals that are used in that little cocktail that's used for the companies that are using the latest technology. And I'm all for jobs, I'm all for making sure we can be efficient, effective, and use it better. But my question to you is, can you come to the table before we come to you?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Thayer, I came to the table in 165.
I acknowledge that.
I've come to the table every time the administration, Democrat or Republican, has asked that we come and look at an issue. We're at the table talking to them about ways to mitigate what happened in the UIC well here in the Honey County. Anytime state government comes to me and says, Stewart, we want you at the table, the Ohio Oil and Gas Association will be at the table. We've never rejected that. And again, I reiterate my pride in what happened on 165. And the track record is pointed up as landmark law. Dr. Poles is doing the study for US EPA on hydraulic fracturing, sat in on the stronger review. He witnessed the entire process and had a lot of great things to say about it. I sat to chair away from him during the review process. I have a board seat, half 10 years on the stronger process, in which I work with authentic environmentalists, some of them famous for their oil, gas, environmental advocacy across the nation. And I've served with those people because what's so great about stronger is it brings two parties that normally people would think are making war on each other, and brings them together to make actual environmental improvements that are meaningful. And I've served on that board for 10 years, trying to make that process go forward, and gone with the environmental community to Congress to make sure that the funding stays in place so that process can stay forward. You talk about slick water fracking. You can go back into well files, wells that were drilled in the 50s and 60s, and you look upon the title of the invoice, and it's called slick water fracking. You know, again, there is a volume issue with shale, but again, you're completing multiple wells. So if you added up all the wells, the water used in all the multiple wells that are completed along that horizontal lateral, it would come close to the same volume you'd use if you just drilled straight holes and fracked one section. You got to understand what horizontal lateral is really on. If your question is, will I be at the table? I insist on being at the table.
Thank you.